All right, folks, welcome back. A while ago, I got a X9 Lite, and I also had some M7 gimbals for an old QX7 I had laying around. And I thought, well, let's see if I can stuff those gimbals inside this radio. And I did. Um, it was a major pain in the butt. I don't know if I would recommend doing this modification, but that's kind of the name of the game, is modifying things to your heart's delight. So I'm going to show you how I did it. They're already installed. I didn't really keep track as I was doing them because there was a lot of kind of trial and error, figuring it out as I went. But I'll take this apart and I'll show you what I did on the inside to make this work. Okay, first things first, you need a couple M7 gimbals. I just happen to have a few lying around. Recently, I saw some pretty good deals on some closeout M7 gimbals. I'm sure those are all gone, but they can be had for a pretty decent price. The other thing you're going to need is some 3D printed parts. These I designed. I'm not a great designer, but I can make things work. So these can be printed on a 3D printer or a resin printer. These happen to be resin. They're just kind of my own design. There's lots of different ways to do this. You could also alter these metal plates. I've seen a few people who have done that, but then there's about a 5-6 millimeter gap between the bottom of your case and the top of the gimbal plate. And this is how I chose to do this. Again, there's probably a lot of different ways to do this. This just happened to be the way I did it. And just to show you that they do work.
Welcome to OpenTX.
So you get full range of motion on both gimbals. And there was no settings I had to alter inside the radio other than just recalibrating the sticks. Okay, so let's get this open and show you what I did. So first thing you need to do is take the 4 screws out of the back of the radio, split your case in half, and I'll just remove the back half, set it aside. And in here you'll see my modification for my charging light. This is just some fiber optic piping, whatever. I'll put a link in the description. I just bundled a bunch of it up, put some tape over it, over the indicator light, and routed it up here. And I just made a tiny little notch in my radio case right there, and routed it out, trimmed it flush, so anytime the built-in charger's charging, that'll light up. Pretty quick and dirty. It works for me. I'm not really going to go too much farther into detail on that because, again, a lot of different ways to do this. So first things first, let me go ahead and pull out the throttle side gimbal so you can see what I had to change to make that work. And I have to pull this out, which I don't really want to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. If you don't have the charging board mod in here, then obviously you don't have to deal with this. All right, so get that out of there. And you have to take off your trim switch on this side. And this is really the only thing I had to modify in the radio itself. And it's not really like a permanent, I'm going to alter it if you decide to go back, but I had to pull the inner trim switches out, and I just had to grind. See how there's like all this excess that sticks out? I had to just grind that flush. You can use a snap knife or you can use a Dremel. Dremel is just a lot faster. I had to grind that off of there. And the other thing I had to modify was the trim switch. And basically you just had to take off a bunch of material, get fit, Basically just enough so that there are still some traces left. And these still work just fine. But that is something I had to modify. I'm going to have to pull this other trim switch board out. Trim switch itself does not need to come out. Just pull the trim switch board out. Kind of keep an eye on which direction I go. Little black dots for the arrows face this way for the left and right trim, and the arrows face up for the up and down trim. So get those out of there. Go ahead and disconnect your gimbal. I'm going to disconnect the gimbal. Obviously, if you have the stock ones in there, I'll just disconnect them. And there's no modification needed to be made to the harness at all, which is kind of nice. And it's only held in by 3 screws anymore. The 4th screw, this all got in the way, so I didn't bother putting it in there. It's not really necessary. But if you're a sucker for symmetry, it might stroke your OCD the wrong way. So this is the M7 gimbal. And I had to trim off a ton of material on the gimbal. Normally you would have this bar in there, but since I'm doing this for mode 2, there's no spring tension. You just pull this pin out, pull the bar out, and just kind of put the whole, kind of get rid of the whole thing. And you don't have to worry about that, but you just got to trim off a bunch of material to kind of match the 3D printed part. There's a lot of trial and error. Just kind of remove a little material, stick it in, see if it fits. But that's really the only modification that was needed on the throttle side gimbal, or the left hand side gimbal. If I'm doing this for mode 2. I don't know if this will work for mode 1, but this is how I did it. And this is that SLA printed piece. I just painted it black and put a nice clear coat on it, and some Grand Lotus stick ends. Another big difference between these and the stock gimbals is there's actual bearings in here, and they're potentiometer gimbals, not the these are Hall effect, not potentiometer, but they have bearings in them, and they feel really, really nice. Doesn't hurt to go and polish up all the mating surfaces if you really want to. So this is how I modified the throttle side for me, and this was pretty easy, pretty quick and easy modification. Go ahead and get that other side out. So again, I had to grind down the trim switch. These work just fine as long as you don't get all the way through the trace. You'll be all right. And I also had to trim down the inside portion of the actual switch itself, just like the other side. Just grind it flush. And let's go ahead and get this guy out of here. Now, this is a lot of work for putting in M7 gimbals, which, I know the UAV one has Hall effect gimbals, but I don't know the quality of the gimbal itself. I don't know if they're still using just the standard bushing style gimbals. I have to say, like, these feel a lot better just because there's, they got a bit more heft to them. That aluminum CNC part is kind of nice. I definitely prefer these, but I think, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't do this myself unless I happen to just have gimbals lying around and felt like designing stuff on my 3D printer. So, all right, this is the other side. This is for me the pitch and roll side. Again, same sort of 3D printed part. By the way, I will put the STLs for the 3D print in the description. Just check them out on Thingiverse. And I had to remove a ton of material on this side, and I just did this with a snap knife, nothing special. I had to grind back past the tension adjustment. Let's see if I can show you what that would have normally looked like before I butchered the thing. it would look a lot like this part right here. I had to grind that back. There's probably a lot of better ways to do this. And then I just took the little hook, ground it down, and threaded it back in just enough so I had tension on there. And it actually feels pretty good. I'm not going to lie, I kind of got tired of this project at this point. And I should have probably designed an adjustment feature into this STL, but I kind of lost the passion for it. And this works just fine for me. Please, if you can come up with better design for these 3D prints, go ahead and modify the STLs and tag me in them. I want to see what other people come up with if you decide to venture down this project. But yeah, just had to take off a ton of material right here just so it would fit in the case. And my goal was to not alter the inside of this radius so I could stuff the old potentiometer gimbals back in there if I needed to. Anyways, that's how I modified this side. Pretty easy, just a lot of trial and error. Just take a little material off, stick it in, see if it fits. Take some material off, stick it in, see if it fits. Really all it came down to. It was actually a pretty. I think if somebody had already made the STLs for the adapters, it would have been a pretty easy project. But I think, at least for me, I'm not great at 3D design. I don't have a whole lot of time to devote to doing that stuff. So I don't know. It was just kind of tedious and irritating to me to do this. But I think if these designs were already out there, this would have been a fun, easy project. And if something goes wrong and it's not your design, it's pretty easy to blame somebody else and feel better about it. But when things didn't go right, the only person I could blame is me. Sorry if I'm kind of showing the inner part of my psyche here, but I don't know. Sitting down in front of the computer doing tedious work is it's not my idea of a fun day. Although I do enjoy doing this stuff. I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I like it, but I don't like it. Sorry if I'm rambling. Feel free to mute it or skip forward. So, just go ahead and stick this all back together. A few things to note while you are reassembling this is once you tighten down everything, if you feel like grinding or binding at any point in the travel of the gimbal, it's probably because something's pushing against the side of one of the pivots. And you'll either have to loosen things up or remove some more material until it fits. And another thing I might want to mention is this is a sample size of 1. I don't know how consistent the specs are on all this stuff. I don't know if there's a little variation in between all the cases, between all the gimbals, things like that. So this may work for you. It may not work for you. I really don't know. I kind of hope it does work for everybody. But yeah, not really sure. Get this guy back in here. I am curious what everybody else would do in this situation. Like, if you had the parts, would you make this mod or not? Or what do you think? You think Frsky is gonna release a X9 Lite Hall effect gimbal besides the ones that are on the UAV radio? And I'm not even sure that those are Hall effect gimbals. I've never really seen anybody doing tests on them. But if they say they are, I would hope they were. Wouldn't be the first time Chinese companies have misspoken or mislabeled something and everything ends up being not as they say. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, stuff like that does happen. These gimbals have little wire hooks on them. You can kind of stick your wires in there to keep them from getting caught up on anything. And don't tighten these down all the way, your trims, because we got to get that charging board in there. If you have the charging board. If you don't have the charging board, this is probably a lot easier. But just kind of get everything started. We'll jump in and tighten everything down. So I'm just checking to see if anything's binding. Feels really good. Tighten this down a little bit more. All right, so I feel a little bit of tension on there. Just loosen up this side and kind of push everything over as far as I can. You know, take up whatever little slop is in it. Yeah, that feels great. Feels just fine. And we'll go ahead and reconnect all of this on this side. Plug that trim switch back in. All right, that's it. We have the gimbals back in there. And you know, I really wish I would have documented this as I was doing it, but like I said, it was a lot of trial and error. I was just wanted to get through it. I'm gonna take my little light pipes here, kind of get them over top of that LED. You can see it. Right there's that little LED. Just gonna get them over top and stick them down with that tape. And then we'll just have to route these through the case when we seal it up. See, we got our little light pipes are kind of just barely protruding right there. Probably straighten this out a little bit more. But, you know, it's just a tiny indicator of the fact that it's charging. I am working on a couple more things for this radio, which I will put out there once they're done. I think you're going to like them. I really like this radio. I liked it before the gimbal mod. I really like it now after the gimbal mod. I don't know if that's just because, you know, I got a little bit of me in there, or if I actually really like the way they feel. All right, so let's go ahead and fire it up.
Welcome to OpenTX.
And I'd assume that if you're doing this mod, you know that you'll have to reset the gimbals. So you're going to come into your menu, and you're going to go to sticks, and you're going to go to calibration. Click that, and then you're going to go through the calibration menu. Just make sure you don't push hard on all the extremes. Just kind of lightly tap the corners. And there you go. Kind of cool. I really like it. And you can kind of see the light through the corners of the gimbals too. But I just recently discovered this stuff, and I kind of like messing with it. It's pretty neat thing. Anyways, that's it. That's the mods. Let me know what you think. If you got better ideas, please let me know. You know, try to be constructive. I definitely check out my STLs. Hey, if you guys want these, hit me up on Discord. I'll send these to somebody. Just pay for shipping. Or if you need me to print them out, let me know. We can work out an arrangement. And if you like this stuff, you know, check out my Patreon. This stuff, you know, it does take up a lot of my time to do this. Help me, help my family out, help the channel out. If you're interested in anything I have in here, check out the affiliate links in the description below. Again, those things truly, truly help me, my family, and the channel out. It helps motivate me to keep going. If you have any questions, please post them down below. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And hey, I'll see you out there.